Hey friends, one of my favorite verses in the Bible comes on behalf of an individual who was willing to be totally sincere and humble before Jesus. And I find myself being challenged by his honesty often. This story comes in the book of Mark chapter 9. We find an agonized and emotional father who brings his demon-possessed son to Jesus for healing. This spiritual affliction tormented this man's son since childhood, and the father would often struggle with his own son to try to keep him from harming himself. Can you imagine the anguish this father would be under? The pain of watching his loved one suffer in this way. So he is understandably desperate for a miracle. When they bring this suffering boy to the feet of Jesus, the father says this: "Have mercy on us and help us if you can." And Jesus responds by saying, "What do you mean if I can? Anything is possible if a person believes." I can imagine this father feeling a degree of shame at this public correction by Jesus. But here's how he responds. The father instantly cried out, "I do believe, but help me overcome my unbelief." Did you catch that? He instantly cried out. He could have given up and left, or even argued against what Jesus said, but he immediately responded with humility and honesty. "I do believe, but help me overcome my unbelief." Have you been in a situation where you're earnestly praying for a miracle, for physical or emotional healing, for restored relationships, or any tragic situation that just feels too far gone? I'm sure we can all relate in one way or another. For myself, these verses speak to me in a powerful way, because I also have a son who was afflicted with physical pain for many years. As I've watched him suffer in ways that I can't even comprehend, I found myself in many times of prayer, asking the Lord for a miraculous healing. And more than once, I've had the same response that this father from Mark 9 had: "Have mercy on us and help us if you can." It's so easy for fear and our own analytical thoughts and reasoning to creep into our prayers and crowd out our faith. While I do believe in God's miraculous power working in my family, and God has shown up in mighty ways and with healing in our situation, but I also know that I still have some unbelief that needs to be overcome. Lord, help me overcome my unbelief. And so, ultimately, even amidst some of the doubt and fear that this father struggled with in Mark chapter 9, Jesus still responded with a miraculous healing of his son. Jesus is faithful. So, let's be encouraged today to never give up. This father could have given up many times, but he kept pressing in. Even with his struggling belief and faith, he kept pursuing Jesus. He was open to correction. He was open to his faith being tested, and the Lord met him where he was at. The Lord responded with an incredible healing. So that's our encouragement today. Even when it's hard, even when we don't see the results right away, keep pursuing the healer because he is faithful.